Now we're going to measure and cut our bench tops. The equipment we've got here to help us out with that include our circular saw for cutting the top itself. We've got a long spirit level which we're going to use as a straight edge. Some clamps to also assist us when doing the straight edge for the cutting. Tape measure, some masking tape which will help protect the laminate surface of the bench top. Obviously a pencil to help us mark it out. And one of the most important things is our PPE, our safety equipment. We've got ear muffs and eye protection when we're using any power tools. Let's kick this off and get it going. I've got my good friend Michael giving me a hand. So first thing we need to do is actually measure from the wall to what our overhang is going to be, and in this case it's going to be 40 millimeters. We now need to measure how much we need to cut off, and we will cut that off from the wall end of the bench top. So we'll do that now. So that includes my 40 mil overhang. So I measure from the other end of the bench, and that's how I know how much I've got to cut off from the wall end of the bench. So 495, that's what we need to cut off from that wall end. So I can measure that out now.
Okay, now we've transferred the lines over here. I'm actually taping up over that line, because what we're doing, we're cutting from the other side, but the tape will prevent the saw blade from doing that chipping out, so I have a nice clean edge. Now we're ready to turn over. The reason we turn it upside down, as I say, the laminate will get damaged. Because of the saw tooth, you can see it's actually rotating that way, it's cutting up into it, which means it's cutting through, not the opposite way and then pushing it out again. So that's what gives us that nice clean edge. Having the tape there, it's just a preventative. Okay, we now have our points of reference where we've transferred those figures across from this end. Using our level as a straight edge, there's our cut line.
Okay, we're going to cut our excess part of bench top off now. When we are cutting the bench top and we're using a saw, we've got to remember that there is a space or a distance between the edge of the saw blade and the edge of the straight part of our saw base. So we need to measure that, because that's then the distance that we place our straight edge away from our cutting line. So we'll measure that gap on our saw first. And in this particular case, on this saw, it's 33 millimeters. So that's the space I need to have between my cutting line and the edge of my straight edge. So I'll mark that out. 33 millimeters. So remembering, in this particular saw, the saw I'm using, it is 33 millimeters, so the saw you use may be a different measurement, so you need to take that into account. So I've marked that off. And again, we'll use our nice long straight spirit level, bringing that up to those marks I've just made. Now this is going to give us a nice parallel cut. So I'll get Michael to hang on to the waste material, what we call the waste, which is the part we're cutting off, while I cut it. And of course, before we do anything with our power tools, we need to make sure our safety gear is on. In this case, dust mask because of the dust that's generated, eye protection and ear protection. So now what we'll do is flip the bench top over and spin it around and offer it back up into the wall. Tape measure and we'll double check. I've got 20 millimeters there and 20 millimeters there, which is what we're after. Okay, that's that bench top measured and cut to size.